Hey y'all, it's my review for the Real Housewives of Atlanta, episode 7. So the episode starts where we left off last week. We were at Sanya's event where she was teaching the ladies how to cook Jamaican food along with her mom. We see Drew surprisingly shows up after all, after telling the host that she wasn't coming. So Sanya comes up to greet her, and already I don't like the phony cadence in Drew's voice. It's like very snarky and sarcastic. So I decided to come. You didn't disinvite me. I would have been like, well, you're disinvited now. Have a good night. Like, don't come in with that energy. Like, I already feel the passive aggression. I honestly think that she always planned on going, but she wanted to have a moment by saying like, oh, I'm gonna tell her I'm not gonna come and then show up anyway. Like, she doesn't have the ranking to decide whether to go to events or not. She needs to be at every event before she fades to the background and lose her peach. Either way, I think this is her last season. I'm calling it now. And is it just me? Like, do y'all hear that voice? Like when she's talking to her mom? Oh, I missed the most important part. Dang. Shut up. So they all sit down to eat, and Sanya lets them know that there was a prize for the Dirty Wine contest in the last episode. And this prize is one of her Olympic gold medals. She was going to find a way to show those things off while she was on here. I'm not mad at her. She's not giving it to the ladies, of course, but she's letting them wear it at the dinner. Ooh, and then we cut to Drew hating her confessional. Oh, you don't see Kenya with her crown. You don't see Kandi with her Grammys. What do you have, though? What do you have to show off proudly? Because your acting skills ain't even that great. You don't even have a BET award. It's Sanya's event. It's a fun fact about her that she's an Olympic gold medalist. And, she's proud of her accomplishment and she wanted to share it with the ladies. I don't see a problem with it. It's just so rich hearing Drew call somebody a pick-me and a try-hard. Because she's been doing that since last season. But anyway, Marlo's the winner of the contest. I mean, it was no question. Marlo was an old hoe. She got some tricks left in her bag, and she still got the moves. I don't know, son. You better watch Marlo with that medal, because she'll surely dip out with it. Sanya tells all the ladies that she's glad that they were able to make it, including Drew, and she lets Drew know that they still need to talk, and she's been trying to. Drew says she's confused because they were both in New York together in her room. She was getting her makeup done by her artist for free. Shay was immediately called by Kenya in that moment. Drew is trying to be like, what? I wasn't trying to be shady. Girl, you brought up that she was in your room getting her makeup done for free by your artist. You were. Sanya, she hits back saying it was not for free. He definitely charged me $25. And then Drew's like, well, did you pay him? $25, y'all. So now they're going back and forth on that. Like, Sanya says that, well, you never sent me an invoice. $25. It's petty. Sanya's getting hot right now. She's letting the whole table know, this ain't Sheree. I pay my bills on time. She says in her confessional, she's going to give her double for her trouble because I don't want to owe her nothing. Drew is still trying to drive home the point that they could have had this conversation in private instead of in front of the other ladies. I get that with Drew, but still, y'all making a TV show. Like, you should expect her to bring it up in front of everybody. They still going back and forth, and I think Drew won't let Sanya get a word in, so Sanya's getting even more hot. They're like arguing and yelling. Mama Joyce and Sanya's mom just sitting there eating their food. Sanya's trying to explain to Drew she's just sensitive communicating with her and she really didn't want to hurt her feelings. Mid-conversation, Sanya yells at Drew because of the faces she's making. I can kind of get with Drew. Sometimes I can't control my facial expressions. They're involuntary. And if you know me, if you're my friend watching this, you know it's true. So I won't get on Drew for that. So Sanya mama getting in now. She's like, be respectful. I'm still working on a Jamaican accent. And Sanya mom looked like she holding back not to curse Drew out in this moment. When the elders get involved, you just, yes ma'am, just be calm. Because I'm sure if Drew talked to Sanya's mom in any kind of way, it would have been an altercation. And also, if I was Drew, I wouldn't be so froggish with an Olympic athlete. Like, she will mollywop you. This would have been a lovely dinner had not Drew decided to come. So Drew then tells Sanya she thinks she clout chasing. Sanya, with all her Jamaican might, says, you think I'm clout chasing for you? I'm a full-time Olympic gold medalist. Put some respect on me name. You tell him, Sanya. I agree with Sanya. Drew, please. Please, like, you of all people trying to tell somebody they clout chasing. The other ladies at the table are getting their life to this moment. They all cheers to that, but I'm just glad the conversation didn't go completely off the rails. Like, it looked like it going back down a bit. So oddly, Drew tries to change the conversation and put Kenya in the hot seat and put her on blast and say, oh, did you talk to Kandi about the sex toys? Kenya then confronts Kandi saying that she felt uncomfortable with the whole vibrating panties thing. Like, she thought it was inappropriate, especially given that the men can control other women's vibrating panties. Kandi looks like she's blindsided, and of course Mama Joyce jump in. Like, you don't have to wear the damn panties if you don't want to. Nobody control my vagina but me. Thank you, Mama Joyce, for that declaration. All right, Kandi, she brought, the woman that was the lead in Trois. That is a deep cut shade. Bravo, Kandi. Now see, when the ladies come for Kandi, we get this out of her. And then Messy Production puts up a moving image of the cover of Kenya's direct-to-DVD movie, Trois. I've never seen it, but I'm guessing it was a really sexual movie. Ooh, Kandi look like she mad. Don't get prim and proper now. Oh wait, I gotta do it like Kandi. Don't get prim and proper now. Kandi lets the table know that the game was for whoever wanted to participate. If you didn't want to, you didn't have to. And that is fair, but I also just think it's weird. That's all. Like, for Broadway night. Like, you can have a fun night with the girls, but then when you have women's husbands and then they can control other women's vaginas, I guess. That sounds weird. But yeah, that's when it gets a little inappropriate. So I can see Kenya's point. Now, Kandi in her confessional is kind of alluding to Kenya's past with men. And then we cut to Marlo in her confessional, of course, and she's going to be like making up shit. Oh yeah, Kenya's with half of Hollywood. You can just Google it. Marlo just be saying shit like she know that's a lie. And Marlo just be saying mean shit off the top of her head. That's one-on-one for her. So thankfully the dinner ends on a good note. Nobody's hair was pulled. Nobody was bopped. So next scene, we're now with Marlo, and she's at Atlanta Ultimate Women's Expo. Marlo looks good, okay for the inches too. I don't know about those shoes though, but okay. So Marlo's just talking about her charity, it's called Glam It Up, and she's had it since 2011. And honestly, this is the first time I've heard her talk about it. Side note, Marlo with the bone straight wigs, like, that is her look. Like the Naomi Campbell's, yes. Like, she should always have her hair like that. Just make it a Lisa Rinna for you, girl. So next scene, we're back with Sanya at her house, and she's just sitting in the living room talking to her family. And of course, she's talking about the very shady dinner at her cooking class that she hosted. Sanya's just defending why she disinvited Drew to her Mommy Nation photo shoot. She thinks they wouldn't have got nothing done and it would have been drama. When Sanya brings up Marlo, we cut to Marlo for a second as she's FaceTiming with Drew. It looks like Drew is now aligning herself with Marlo, and Marlo is telling her about her beef with Kenya right now. I'm guessing she's accusing of Kenya faking being sick so she couldn't be there for Sheree. Again, like I said in my last video, Kenya has no reason to pretend that she's sick to miss a scene. Because it was her idea. Hold on. Not Drew talking about somebody picking the wrong team. Drew, whichever team you are on is the losing team. So we're back with Sanya. She's just going over her argument with Drew, with her mom, her dad, and her sister. And of course, she brings up the clout chasing comment. She's like, I'm a 4-time Olympic gold medalist. Her dad next to her goes, "Bup." I love how I'm pretty sure production had to ask her to explain what does "bup." What does that mean? Jamaicans in the chat, I mean, feel free to let me know, like, is there an origin to that? Like, why do they do that? Because I know the meaning behind it, but what's the origin? But if there is none, that's fine too. Oh no. Not her sister getting in on the shade. She says, not like she was Melanie on the game. Now, y'all, I didn't watch the game. I'm sure Drew wasn't Melanie. She was somebody else. She was the girl that was cheating with the male lead. Look, I don't know. And then her mom was like, what's the game? I don't even know what the game is. Look, the family that shades together stays together. We're back with Marlo talking to Drew, and it looks like, the lines have been drawn in the sand. On one side, we have Sheree, Marlo, and Drew, and on the other, you have Sanya, Kenya, and Kandi. Next scene, we're at Sheree's, and she's being visited by her life coach, whose name is Jack Daniels. So it looks like Sheree has had this life coach since she was on her last season, which was like 4 years ago. And we see a flashback of her telling him that she was with Tyrone, but he was in prison. She's been loyal to this man for 4 years. So now she's telling him how she got stood up in Philly by her fella. It looks like Sheree, hearing herself recount this to her life coach, she feels stupid and kind of played. But then the life coach asks her, like, so you're done with him? She's like, I don't know. She says she can't for certain say that she'll never talk to him again. Something just not adding up here. Like, it just can't be the D. It has to be something else. And shout out to Erica De Niro. If y'all not familiar with her channel, make sure y'all watch. She thinks it's something having to do with money. Like, they have some type of scheme together. Because ain't no way she's like letting herself look a fool on national television for some D. Although the ladies on Love and Hip Hop have no problem doing that. Her life coach then asks her, what makes you feel happy? And she says her business, which we know as She by Sheree. And production gives us a recap of the entire history of this non-company. So we go back to season 1, 13 years ago. It has been a mess since Jump. Then we go back to 4 years ago with the infamous joggers, September, spring, summer. And after that humiliating moment, we have not heard from that non-company since. We then cut to Sheree in her confessional, giving more excuses than a ninja going to jail about why She by Sheree hasn't popped off. She says she needs the right business manager. I think she's looking for an investor at this point because she's not going to put her own money into that. Honestly, I mean, we see that she's had that life coach for 4 years now. He should be fired because her life is still in the same place where she was 4 years ago. Next scene, we're with Kandi and Todd, and she's talking to him about contributing to Marlo's charity. It looks like she was cleaning out her guest house, and she has these bags of clothes she's willing to donate. So Kandi calls Marlo on FaceTime, letting her know that she has some clothes she wants to contribute, and the energy just changes immediately when Marlo has the gall to say that her girls, like, she doesn't give them hand-me-downs. So you want people to buy, like, go out and buy new clothing. So you're going to turn down contributions to a charity because they're not new clothing? Like, what? Just because they're like lightly used? And Kandi even says that some of the clothing that she wore, she only wore it once. I'm very disappointed by that. Talking about a hand-me-down and compared it to giving somebody an open bag of chips. Marlo, you are a hand-me-down. That peach that you got for this season is a hand-me-down. She looked very snooty in that moment. What happened to the saying, beggars can't be choosers? And shout out to whoever pointed it out that Marlo leases clothing that's used over and over and over. The hypocrisy is real. She got some nerve. Kandi is better than me. Even on Beverly Hills, I remember they had an episode where they had a charity and some of the ladies were donating their old clothing, old gowns or something like that. That some of them was couture. So what is Marlo talking about? And then there's people who aren't in need that willingly shop in thrift stores. Like, what type of bougetto hood mentality is that? Next scene, we're with Sheree meeting up with Kenya for brunch. So they're at this omelet place that's basically omelets made in a waffle machine. Interesting. I'm not a fan of omelets. Just make my eggs scrambled. I'm basic. Side note, Kenya and Sheree both look very cute. Just wanted to point that out because I am not a hater. So Kenya's talking about the stress of running her legit business while Sheree is talking about her non-business that she's trying to get off the ground 14 years later. Kenya starts coughing during this conversation, kind of like me, how I've been doing throughout this video. I've just been editing it out, y'all, because I'm still sick too. But she brings up to her that she just didn't appreciate Marlo, insinuating that she was lying about being sick. We cut to Kenya's confessional. She's saying Marlo tries to accuse me of being sick because she's jealous that I look better than her sick than she does on her best day. Then she continues and says, oh, she needs to get hair installed just so she can look half as good as I do when I wake up out of bed in the morning. Read, Kenya. Now, the real shade is Kenya ain't lying. She's basically just telling Sheree how duplicitous Marlo has been and has always been. I mean, it also is kind of fake of Sheree to be sitting in Kenya's face after hearing what Marlo had to say about Kenya and yelling facts. So Sheree is just as foul as Marlo. Shockingly, Kenya comes off genuine to me as she's talking to Sheree, telling her that she's a loyal friend to her. Kenya says she's tired of Marlo's behavior, and we get a flashback of, all the years that they've been going at it. It goes back to only 2 years ago. Look, Marlo was brought on to antagonize Kenya and Kandi, and we are getting some stellar results. If Marlo got to be mean and below the gutter to get a reaction out of Kenya and Kandi to get them to read the fuck out of Marlo, so be it. Next scene, it's the next day. We see Kenya sending a message to the group chat. It says, "Hey beautiful ladies, I want us all to meet up one of these days for a girls' outing so we can show our support for Sheree and convey that we are her village and sisterhood." So I'm assuming that's the next messy gathering. During this little montage, we see Kandi, she's in LA. I'm guessing she's on the Shy, right? I'm not sure. They just had to catch her saying some super sexual shit. Like, we get it. Kandi is a freak, even though she's not getting enough sex with Todd. Okay, so it looks like they're not wasting any time, so now we're at Kenya's gathering for Sheree. Oddly enough, the first two people to get there is Drew and Sanya. So at least they're hugging and everything is cordial, but some time goes by, they're still waiting on the ladies to arrive. They should know. On Housewives of Atlanta, like, if there's a gathering, you get there an hour or hour and a half late. In walks Marlo, and I gotta say, I love this little red number. Red is definitely Marlo's color. I would even say the color red is her personality. Marlo's telling the ladies the drama with her sister being incarcerated. She has a trial coming up, and it's possible she could be in jail for a year. The main problem, she says, is her sister has a mental health issue. So most of the ladies arrive. We see Kenya is still sick. Gosh, I mean, I guess it's a miracle she didn't test positive for COVID. The filming all must have been close together because I'm like, damn, this is like the third gathering. She's still sick? Oh, so it looks like Kandi isn't going to make it to this gathering because she's still in Hollywood filming this this sexual show. I think it's called A La Carte. Like, do they really have Kandi typecast as like a madam? Because I feel like she's played that role before. So as Kandi's the topic of conversation, Marlo brings up that Kandi called her trying to give her some hand-me-downs for her charity. God forbid. I'm glad Kenya had the same reaction as I did. She's like, Marlo, you are too much. Like, why are you trying to paint Kandi as this bad person? Like, as she's trying to give to your charity. Like, if you're gonna come for Kandi, at least call her out on being messy. Marlo's now trying to take it back to, I was picked on every day because I had on hand-me-down clothes. Kenya's like, girl, we've all been picked on. Try again. So now they're going back and forth on that, and Kenya brings up a good point how she's trying to vilify people, and then she brings up how she did it to her when it came to Sheree's meetup at Marlo's house. Marlo's definitely grasping for straws because she's wrong in both situations. She's wrong for accusing Kenya that she was faking being sick, and she's wrong for being mad at Kandi for contributing clothes to her charity. So now they're going back and forth again over this, and Kenya's calling her out for being a shitty friend. So Kenya tells Marlo her comprehension is very off. Marlo comes right back and says, no, that wig is very off. She got her there. Even Kenya had to say, you know what? I'm sick. It is kind of off, but still. She did get her. That wig, Kenya, I'm sorry. That wig is a little ratty. She got Kenya saying, yes, it's a mess. It's a goddamn mess. I tried to get here because I'm sick. Damn it, that made Kenya even more likable that she would admit that. Child, my battery died and now it's dark. But anyway, we cut to Marlo in her confessional and she says, Kenya got a whole hair care line and she come here with that hair on her head looking like she's selling Mary Kay. Oh man, like Marlo, when she's on a roll, she's on a roll. Their argument then calms down a bit when she tells Kenya that even though we fight, I still got love for you. But with Kandi, I just feel like the effort isn't there. Sheree co-signs as well, saying that Kandi has just not been a friend to her. Now, I know as soon as this lunch was over, Kenya's gonna go run and tell Kandi what was said. Sanya then brings up to Sheree and Marlo that she feels bad that they felt some kind of way that they weren't invited to her photo shoot. So she decided to make it up to them. And Drew immediately interrupts and says, oh, well, what about the invited and uninvited guests? Sanya then dismisses her and says, oh, we still got our issues. So she continues and tells the ladies that there's a Nike event she wants to invite them to. And Drew interrupts again saying, oh, you told me about that event. And allegedly, Sanya invited her to that. And you know she ain't coming now. The ladies are having a good cackle from that. But personally, if I'm beefing with somebody, all the plans that we made in advance are canceled until further notice. Drew is definitely bothered by this, but they're going back and forth now, and Sanya's island temper is coming out now. And I'm worried for Drew because they're sitting directly next to each other. Uh-oh, so here go Drew putting her finger up, and you just don't do that with black women. Do not put fingers in the face. I would say any black person, actually. We then see Kenya like dragging Drew's chair closer to her, trying to get her away from Sanya. The argument's just escalating, and now Sheree got to get up and get in between them. Drew's calling Sanya unstable. Sanya's calling Drew phony. Sanya then gets out her seat and starts yelling, saying, I'm being Sanya. I'm being 100% me. At this point, the ladies got to be separated, and Drew walks away from the table, and Kenya follows after her. We cut to Sanya in her confessional, and she says she doesn't even care at this point if her and Drew are in a better place. We're now downstairs with Kenya and Drew, and Kenya's politely telling her that maybe you should have let Sanya speak, and that's why she was getting so agitated with you, and it only escalated from there. Drew couldn't care less. She does not give a fuck. I will say, in situations like this, Drew be displaying the same characteristics as her toxic-ass husband, Ralph. The irony. They really deserve each other. So Drew leaves, and it looks like the next trip for the ladies is in Portland, and Drew ain't invited. At this point, I thought the episode was over, but now we're with Marlo and her nephews. It's just 15 minutes later. It looks like they're at the restaurant, and the nephews just met her there. So now they're about to FaceTime her mom from prison or jail or whatever facility she's at. By the looks of production, it looks like they didn't have permission to film or record the FaceTime with Marlo's sister. The scene fades to black for a little bit, then they mute the conversation, but according to Marlo, her sister was irate, cursing her out, showing no signs of improvement. And then afterward, we just see her consoling her nephews, and she starts crying. And that is where the episode ends. They really tacked that on, didn't they? And is it just me, or the details of Marlo's sister's incarceration just a little bit murky? I don't know, I'm just having a hard time understanding that situation. Anyway, I really enjoyed this episode. The season so far, I'm pretty satisfied. Much better than Tragic Season 13. Again, I gotta ask y'all whose side y'all on. I mean, do y'all think Sanya was being messy by excluding Drew from the Portland invite? Or do y'all just think Drew should shut the fuck up? I personally think the latter, but I would love to hear what y'all think. And Marlo, there's no question in that. Like, she's wrong on both ends with Kandi and Kenya. So with that, make sure y'all like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see y'all for the next episode. Bye. Oh, and side note, tonight, midnight, Beyonce single coming out. Ooh, I cannot wait. Okay, bye.